Okay, it is July 8th, 2020. This is the Economic Development Commission meeting. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:40 p.m. On from the Economic Development Commission is myself, Renee Daly, Laura Parker, Anthony Kolatichek, and Michael Toole. And we have two guests as well on the line. And it looks like Michael is maybe working.
Denise just texted me. She's in the car. She asked for the dial-in.
Okay. You want me, you know what? I have it already typed.
Okay.
Let me see
Shoot it to Denise.
Copy it. Gone. Okay. Hopefully that'll work for.
Okay.
Okay. So let me just write 6:40. Okay, so thank you guys for coming today. We have a somewhat short agenda. I know that there are some commitments later this evening that others have, and Sandy will be here. She indicates she has a meeting until 7 o'clock, so she'll be joining, and it sounds like Denise is going to join us as well. Mike Massini indicated he wasn't sure if he was going to make it, but believed he was not going to. The items for us to discuss, I mean, I'll just start, apologies for that. I'll just start with the first one, just in respect to Norton business updates or interest. I don't have anything on this topic except for the discussion that's been happening on social media about the Dunkin' Donuts on 123. I don't know if we want to talk about that or if we have any confirmed information from that change with the business shutting down, or if there's anything that we want to do from an EDC perspective. You know, even if it's just acknowledge that there may be a change, and we'll continue to watch it over the next couple months.
I haven't seen I mean, I'm assuming at this point it's accurate information, but.
Yeah, we were waiting to hear, Renee, I think we were waiting to hear from Mike, and I had not heard anything from the contrary or to confirm that.
Okay.
But it leads to an interesting conversation. It leads to a better conversation. I'm wondering if, you know, someone from the EDC should reach out to some of the restaurants and just see how their transition's going. Specifically, obviously, just, you know, I mean, there are other business audiences in town, but we know that the restaurant and the hospitality industry is struggling the most.
So I think that's a good idea, Michael. And actually, you know, I was thinking about this, and I may have mentioned it on one of our previous calls, right? So right now, the select board is really approving, I don't know how you phrase it, but to lack some of the requirements in respect to bylaws from both signage and serving alcohol in outdoor areas, and then having outdoor seating as well. And it's interesting because right as we started that process, I was at Fiesta, and I asked them if they were going to take advantage of that, because they, you know, with the overhang in that plaza, and now with actually, you know, Roach Brothers being gone and Planet Fitness, I don't know if they did reopen, but they have quite a bit of area to have natural covering if they had tables out there. And, you know, I indicated to the gentleman I spoke to that if the owner had any questions, he can certainly, you know, reach out to Mike and, you know, file any sort of application that he needed to do. So it might, I don't know if we have an easy list available, but maybe something we can do, if somebody can compile a list, maybe the restaurants who we haven't, well, both, right, Michael, to your point, the restaurants that have opened, and if they're having any difficulties with the outdoor seating, and then additionally those who haven't, maybe they're just not aware of those, the changes in the requirements and the ability to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%, Renee, because I also wanted to ask the simple question. Have you already started making plans for the fall? Because the fall is right upon us, and I don't see the social distancing plans changing. And we all know fall nights can be very cold, and so the idea of outdoor patios, I think, are going to disappear very quickly. And with limited seating, are they going to try the patios with heating? Are they going to try different things where they do still offering outside seating, right? Because there are ways to do outside seating in the winter. The question is, are they even thinking about that at this point? Are they just trying to keep themselves alive?
Right. And I just want to make note too, Denise joined at 6:44. I don't know, Anthony, if you saw that.
Right.
Thank you.
So I think so the first thing is to create a list, Renee, just let me get the action items out of this. Create a list.
Yeah, unless anybody's aware of a list. You know what? Paul might have a list. We can ask him.
Yeah.
Because really, is the thought, Michael, that we specifically reach out to restaurants first?
Yeah. I mean, because right now, like when I sent over the business directory a couple months ago to everybody, I think there are 900 companies in town, registered in town. But of that list, I think restaurants right now are probably where we should start, and then kind of figure out what other businesses are out there that we can help.
Yeah.
Did we ever get any confirmation on tumbleweeds?
About them not opening?
Yeah.
No. Where did we hear that on here or on social media?
I forget where I heard it. I think it may have been here.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I don't either. Yeah, there's too much information flying around. I did hear that they had pulled out.
I mean, that's a tough one, right? Sorry, Anthony.
No worries. I just had a quick question. Does anybody know the actual law behind how many, like, is there a percentage of occupancy inside of restaurants right now? Like, is it like a 30% maximum, 50% maximum?
So they just opened up. Let me look at my email.
Monday? 2 Mondays?
Yeah,
I thought Monday or Tuesday. It was this week, I thought.
It was this week.
Oh, it was this week. I thought it was last week. Okay.
No, give me a second, because I had it in my email. I just didn't have a chance to review all of the details.
I forget exactly how it worked, but it was either 50% or so many people per square foot, whichever was larger. Or whichever was smaller. Now I don't even remember.
Indoor dining was before Monday.
Indoor dining was
just
before?
this week.
Yeah, no, indoor dining was before Monday. Yeah, I mean, I remember last week, 2 weeks ago, being to several different things where they were offering indoor dining. So this week was gyms.
Did they change the percentage then for indoor dining?
I think that's what absolutely, Renee. I think the percentage has changed, because I know it was below 40. It was, to your point, it was like 40% prior to this week. I know that. So
I have this bookmarked. I just can't find the bookmark on the state website.
it's on the COVID dashboard page.
Yeah. Our COVID dashboard page on our town, or?
No, on the state one.
Oh, here we go. I got it. Reopening Massachusetts.
I can't believe how much our number is just frozen. I mean, thank God, right? It's just.
They've frozen, you said?
Yeah, Massachusetts number of cases. It's flattened out extremely.
Yeah, it's showing that 7-day average is down 94%.
Yeah.
Surgeon hospitals down 86%. It's awesome. I mean, let's just hope it works.
Massachusetts, I think, is at the top 4 states in the country that have the best COVID response plan right now. So.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, we're about to jump into 8th place of 8 cases, right? I mean, I think it's just a matter of Arizona's is at 108 now, and we're 110.
Yeah.
And we've been between 110 and 109 for the last 5 days.
So the revised gatherings order is indoor gatherings are limited to 8 people per 1,000 square feet, but should not exceed 25 people in a single enclosed indoor space. Outdoor gatherings in enclosed spaces are limited to 25% of the facility's maximum permitted occupancy, with a maximum of 100 people in a single enclosed outdoor space. So that means restaurants like Sabatino's, right? They can only operate in the tent 25%, and similar Bog Iron, 25% of their maximum permitted occupancy.
Neither of which were very big to begin with.
But I don't know. It
Right.
says, like, it says this includes community events, civic events, sporting events, concerts, conventions, and more. It says the order does not apply to outdoor unenclosed gatherings if proper social distancing measures are possible. How do you understand these? It also does not supersede previously issued sector guidance. Was effective Monday, July 6th and effective Monday, July 13th in the city of Boston. Let me see if I can.
Monday, July 6th? No,
Yeah,
That
this.
I went to a seafood restaurant and they were offering indoor seating.
Well,
last Friday.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Michael, if this is other establishments and not.
Yeah, you said it was gatherings.
Right, indoor gatherings. They didn't say.
Oh,
I
get
just
what
have to
you mean.
find
because I'll be honest with you, the percentages sound very low.
Okay, let me do. Oh my goodness gracious. Sector specifically. Let's see if I can find that.
All right, I got it. So,
Got it?
yeah. Massachusetts restaurants can officially reopen for outdoor. Oh, this is June. Sorry. Hang on. Now I got to find indoor.
That was June 8th, right?
Yeah.
Indoor.
Okay, so
They opened for my birthday. Sorry.
it says while indoor table service is permitted, restaurants are encouraged to structure operations to operate as much as possible through outdoor table service and to strictly limit indoor table service in order to assure effective compliance with social distancing. They must comply with the following. Tables must be positioned so to maintain at least 6-foot distance from all other tables and any high foot traffic areas. So routes to bathrooms, entrance, exits. They may be positioned closer if separated by protective non-porous barriers, like plexiglass, not less than 6 feet high, installed between tables and high foot traffic areas. The size of a party seated cannot exceed 6 people. I didn't know that. They cannot see any customers at a bar. Bar areas may be reconfigured to accommodate table seating that complies with all spacing and other requirements.
The other thing that we haven't asked is what, and Mike hadn't completed or the town accountant James had not completed what the impact on the mail sales tax has been on for the town. Because obviously there's going to be a 3-month hit there on the economic side of it.
I have to imagine it's going to be significant.
Yeah.
You know, I asked Chief Simmons too about the impact to ambulance receipts, because one of the things that Chief Clark noted early on was the reduction in the amount of traffic accidents that they were responding to because people weren't on the road. So I have to imagine that's going to have some impact too.
Yeah, absolutely. So create a list or ask Paul. We're going to ask Paul to see if Paul's got a list. Or we're going to kind of list and then kind of break them into people that have outdoor seating already and those who do not.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe follow up with them.
Yeah, I think that
how it's going.
I mean, especially those who haven't done it, I just want to make sure, you know, that they know that they can do these things. I have to imagine. I don't see any requirements other than tables have to be positioned at least a 6-foot distance from all other tables and traffic areas.
Maybe a good thing that we could do is create kind of like a guidance chart, something, you know, to offer a resource. So if we're actually communicating with them, we're saying, all right, so these, just in case you know or you don't know, this is the guidance from state law. Just break it down, making it easier for them, giving them a product.
Yeah, Anthony, the state website actually has a checklist under restaurants. Yeah, okay. So they have sections: cleaning and disinfecting,
cool.
Checklist to social distance, hygiene protocols. So it's probably worth. Let me send this out to everybody just so we all have the link on restaurants.
Can we possibly post that link on the EDC Facebook page and/or website page?
Sure, I think we can.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
To be honest, Do we honestly think that there's a business out there that's sitting around without this information?
True.
That's their livelihood? Don't you
I
think
don't
they'd be
know.
looking for?
Well,
You think they're waiting for us to reach out to them? To be honest.
I think maybe it would be, a good reach out. I don't know. Do you think that they know that they can go and they can actually apply for?
Yes.
I
I
think
think they're
I think-
watching Governor Baker every single day. I know people with small businesses in this town who are watching Governor Baker's press conferences every single
And
day.
is he specific about you can go to your local municipality and apply for these types of contingencies? Like apply to be able to have outdoor seating, apply to be able to serve alcohol outdoor.
Yeah, I mean, he's made references to the change in the regulations. So
I'm a little worried, Laura, that they're watching him every day when he's only moved to like an every other day press conference. I'm only teasing with you.
Yeah, but
no, I get your point. I understand you.
yeah, there's nobody who is depending upon a retail or commercial
Mhm.
outlet for their livelihood who is not paying attention to what's going on,
I-
saying, "Oh, nobody
I
told
agree.
me."
Right. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I think it would be I think the restaurants would appreciate, I think some restaurants would appreciate a follow-up or a phone call from someone, from the town per se, to say, we just wanted to check in, see how it's going for you. Is there anything that we're not aware of, or, because it would be, I went, so I've eaten at Emma's, I've eaten at Sabatino's, I've eaten at Home Plate, and I was very surprised that they allowed Emma's to open up with just cones blocking off the road, the parking lot, in separation from that. I mean, I thought it was a little bit of a safety issue, but they seem to have had success and no problem, so I'm happy for them there.
Michael, that was actually brought up at a select board meeting, I believe.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think Jack
when
brought
you
it up
sit
because he
there,
drove
and you
past
sit
there.
there and you have your back, when you sit there and you have your back towards where the cars come in, you're a little bit wary of it. But they seem to have had success doing it. So I don't want to, put gasoline on something where that isn't a fire.
Yeah. I mean, Laura, I don't think it hurts to reach out to business owners, just to check in.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had more to offer.
I know.
They're going to ask, I need help. I need to get open. There's nothing we can do. We can't.
Yeah.
We have no resources. We have, the same information that they have available to them.
In hindsight, and this is hindsight, and as we kind of just talking here, if a situation like this ever happened again, I think one of the things that we as a group should have done is found somebody that could do a webinar on pup money or something like that. If there's ever in these situations, it could be a hurricane, it could be something later on down the road where there's some kind of funds for FEMA or something like that. I think one of the things that we as a group should look at is in the future saying, okay, when there's an impact of a storm or something like a pandemic, what can we do as a group to offer our services to these businesses in town? And I think, could have, should have, would have. I think this is a good point for us to just put it on our mental note that, because there will be a hurricane. There will be, and one of us might be a member of this group. We say, okay, let's see if we can get FEMA on board or services to companies that were infected by this. So,
I think most of that was
a criticism of anyone.
No, I think most of that was coming from the state, and I thought that they were providing, good guidelines, and the feds on how do you apply for these loans. The issue is that not everybody got a loan, right? And there's nothing we can do in that regard. I vaguely remember Mike saying something about Paul had sent a communication out to local businesses. So it might make sense to circle back with Paul and see what they've done and maybe do, a touch point as a follow-up.
Renee, I can tell you this right now, and I'm not saying that we would provide any more information, but I know the application process, and I have a friend who owns a physical therapy in Mansfield, and she was on it more than anyone of this. but she was more confused, and she was explaining to me, I'm like, how a business is going through this? And then I've talked to several other business owners, and they're like, yeah, I can't get the straight answer out of it. So I just think one of the things that and I would love to see if Paul Paul may have had a great communication. I just hadn't seen it. So we may have already done it now that you say that.
You know, you brought up something, Michael. I had sent myself, whoops, Laura, I'm going to send this to you if you want to take a look at it. I get FEMA emails daily on different webinars that they do. And this particular one had, it talked about like community asset mapping, but it does have, we might want to post this. So Laura, I'm going to send it to you if you think it's worth it, but they're doing 2 webinars, one on Wednesday, July 22nd in English, and then one on Thursday, the 23rd in Spanish on scams targeting small businesses. That might be something that folks would like to attend. So it might be worth just linking to that online on our Facebook page.
I think that's great.
Invest in
I think
Norton.
that those are the services. We never know. I mean, someone may not do it, but someone may have it, and that's where someone may get a lot of value out of it. And I think that's where our added value comes from as a group.
Yeah, I don't know how FEMA sends their distribution, but I've been on it for a while, and so I caught that one and sent it to myself. So Laura, I sent that to you if you want to take a look at it. And I didn't send it to everybody because I can't. Do you want me to? I can. Or Laura, can you send it to everybody?
Sure.
So let me ask you this: did you get that email because of your risk management role, or did you get that email because of?
No, I get it through work, but it's FEMA for the community. It's not like the other calls I'm on with the DHS. This is specific to community trainings and offerings and what they do within the different states. So they've had some really, I missed the one there was one today, like I said, about community assets in the neighborhood. And I'll try to keep up on them to look at them. I usually get daily updates, and if I see something that's coming out that we could post just for people to be aware. The FEMA webinars are typically pretty informative, so it could be helpful. But I'm sure you can sign up, Michael, if that's what you were looking for. I'm sure you can sign up.
Yeah, that's probably what I was.
Yeah.
You were reading my mind. I think I'll just go on there and get it because you're
Or
absolutely right.
Do you see anything? I can look at that. I just logged out of my email. Did you see anything on there that shows how somebody could sign up to get?
There's a link to register.
Just okay. Is there anything that says sign up to be included in their distributions?
Oh, no.
I'm okay.
Not in this email.
I'll look for it, Michael, and I can send it to the team.
Okay, perfect.
Anything else on the business updates or interests?
Yes, sort of. Well, I don't know. It may fall into the next category. The EDC host community agreement, interested parties, I had noticed you had updated it. And next to solar therapeutics, under negotiation is scratched out, and it said was not approved by the BOS. And I was wondering if you could update us on that.
I must have done that change a while ago, because and you know what, we just got another, Paul had sent us an email today from another individual who's inquiring about a retail establishment license. She was asking if we're accepting applications for retail establishments in the community. Literally, this just came today, and then providing information. So I was going to talk to that at the next thing, but I think it's fine here. So on that, it's the interested parties one, right, Laura, that you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what happened to solar therapeutics.
So solar therapeutics submitted an HCA quite some time ago, and it was on a format that hadn't been approved by the board. So it was kind of similar to Rosenbud submitted one as well, and that was on the last agenda for the select board, and we opted to defer it due to the application process for the RFI. So we have, one was received, and I mean, when I say it's been a while, it may be pre-March that Solar Therapeutics submitted an HCA. But like I said, we hadn't even as a group, I don't even think the IDC had fully reviewed the HCA or legal. So if they were a group through the RFI process that we recommended to the Board of Selectmen, I would expect that they would take the most up-to-date HCA that's been posted for a month or so and complete that and track the changes.
Okay.
But they did submit one quite some time ago. I thought we talked about that.
Maybe we did. When I saw it, I was like, oh, I was not aware of this. So it may have been I just zoned out. I also see there's a bunch of new names on here. But it looks like people that you may have run into at the convention that you went to that time.
Yeah, so down at the bottom, I added them in because when I sent that email about a month ago to folks letting them know about the bylaws when we updated the maps, that was
Yeah.
a distribution group. So I went through all the people who had pinged me at some point and added them on. They're under like potential applicants. Yep.
Okay. We should probably move this. It's getting to the point where we should probably move it over to Google Sheets so that we can keep it updated in real time.
Sure, I think that's fine because like I said, we have the one to add today. So if I can talk about that just briefly, the application process. So I had a meeting with Mike and Paul today, and the application, the RFI form is going, it was approved at the last Selectmen's Select Board meeting. Geez, I can't get these names right anymore. And they are going to post that tomorrow under the bid site on the website. And so we've identified, as we talked about, 45 days from posting. So I believe it's August, September, is it Monday? Monday, the August 24th, I believe, is the date for the, that we'll be accepting applications for the retail establishment. So once that's posted, I will send an email out to the distribution list based on the Excel spreadsheet that we have, and just inform everyone that the application RFI is posted. And there aren't, you know, for those who have been following our meetings or the document when we reviewed it, as you guys know, there aren't many changes. I think just the biggest change was the items that we listed to be redacted due to OML and public records requirements. So we didn't want to have any of that confidential information out. So
Do you want me to put the RFI open on the Facebook page too?
Yeah, once it's posted, if we can link back to, yeah, I don't have, you know, it's going to be under the bid site, but it'd be nice to link, you know, when you click on the bids and you actually go into like the marijuana thing to grab that URL. So we don't have that yet until Charlene posts it up there, but once we have it, I think it'd be perfect.
Okay.
And
so
then
they're putting a link to the host community agreement in there too, right? They're sort of interrelated.
no, because this is just the RFI process, right? So from perspective of the subcommittee, we're not reviewing the HCAs.
No, I know, but I think the applicant may want to review the HCA as part of to know what it's gonna look like.
So I just sent Laura to your changes and so forth, yours and Sandy's changes merged. I sent that over to everyone and just kind of for a final review. And that's where that's going to live. The HCA and all that they're going to be able to see all those documents on that website, which I'll be reaching out tomorrow to to Nicole to get that process going and get it posted on the website.
So the HCA right now is on the Facebook page, right? The link to it's on the Facebook page. It's on the EDC town website, and it's on the planning and economic development. Like all of those have the HCA posted. So that went up as soon as the select board approved it.
Yeah, it would be nice if within the bid, you know, for further information, we could link back to the marijuana section on the planning board page.
Well, we should have done that initially. We can make a tweak to that, or we can, you know, like the way that it's posted, you can put a description above it. Because I was looking at one of the RFQs out there now, so we can put that information there.
Okay.
And link it all back. Michael, do you want to, or Laura, did you say you have it prepped? Do you want to share the document and we can review that now?
Oh, yeah.
The
Michael, did you make any changes to the clean version I sent?
I did not make any changes to the clean version you saw. I thought it was very clear.
Okay, then I
You want to bring it up,
can.
Laura? Or do you
Yeah,
want
I
me?
can bring it up.
have it open.
I got it open
I
too.
have it open.
Your call.
Okay. Yeah, I'll walk through it. So give me 1 second and I'll share it.
I'm gonna plug my laptop in.
Why are you freezing on me, Zoom? Share screen. Host disable participant sharing. Screen sharing. Why don't you take it over, Laura? Because
Okay.
Renee just
No,
you can share.
everybody should be able to share.
It just
Yep.
said
No, I got disabled
host
too.
disabled.
Okay,
All
try
right.
it again.
Look at
I don't know why I
Look at
have to
that.
change this. I don't know why I have to
Look at
change the
Renee's
setting every
thinking.
single time.
I got it
What?
up.
You made me laugh, Renee. You had this like very serious look of
Well, because
scowl as you were
I know.
thinking.
Well, after the last meeting when I had to do it, I went in and I changed it on the settings. So I don't know why it's
Yeah.
prompting me to do it again. But we're good.
All right. So this is the page. The comments in here are just basically notes to put in the
Links.
yes, the thread to actually get to them, but I didn't want to put them in here if we were going to keep making edits to this. So it starts with the background, the 2016 vote, the vote by the Commonwealth, the putting in or embedding links to the actual regs and the Cannabis Control Commission's website here, as well as an addition to a list of resources. Talking about when the license process started, when the first shop opened, and then our town when we voted to allow it but restrict it to industrial zones only.
I think, Laura, I'm sorry on that. You had read or you said allowed and this says restrict. I think we should use the allow, that we amended its bylaws to allow marijuana establishments to industrial zoned areas.
Okay. I thought. Okay.
Was it written the other way?
I'm trying to remember.
Because it's the use, right?
Yeah.
So under commercial use,
But
we allowed by special permit.
Okay.
So maybe we should
allow in
that.
industrial zones only. Okay. On May 2018, Norton Town Meeting voted to amend its bylaws to allow all marijuana establishments in industrial zones only.
By
November.
special, you want to put by special permit?
Sure. Special permit. I have been capitalizing it. I'm going to keep capitalizing it.
I think I've been capitalizing it too. And then
Okay.
I debate with myself every time I write it.
Yeah, even the same with like town. In some cases, town is, up here, it's town meeting is capitalized, but
And the other thing, I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on this, but we didn't allow all marijuana establishments because we didn't allow the social consumption.
well, nobody allows social consumption.
The pilot has been going on, but we specifically separated it out to not allow social consumption in the bylaw. There are 2 lines
Right.
under the uses.
This is May 2018.
Right. I know. So in our bylaw, we voted 1 line to allow establishments excluding social consumptions, and then the line under it is marijuana establishments, social consumptions, where we do not permit by special permit in any other zoned areas.
Okay. Excluding social consumption, just that, or
I think it's social consumption establishments now. We just updated it based on.
all right. Is that the too much use of establishments?
I mean, it's capital social consumption establishment, I believe, because we just updated that in the bylaw. Let me look for the bylaw. Hold on. Unless anybody
make a
remembers off the top of
recommendation?
their head.
Can I make a recommendation?
Do it.
Can you guys maybe look at this, maybe take this document and look on it offline and get the feedback to myself and Laura and any feedback we have?
Well, I'd rather Michael do it during the meeting so we're just done with it and everybody's in agreement.
Okay.
Is there a reason why we can't do that?
What I don't want to do is we've all done this before, meaning I don't want to get to a point where we're 2 hours into this document, and but I'm okay. I mean, if
Fighting
somebody
over
wants to
whether
do
to
it,
capitalize
I
a
can-
T.
Right.
No.
I don't want to fight over a comma, and everyone who's ever noticed how I write, I don't use them anyways. So
He said it. I didn't.
I mean, I'm actually I'm an anti-Comite.
I mean, I just think it needs to be like, we need to actually state what we wrote and,
All right, let's just keep going. We'll go quick.
Okay.
So we're not gonna get into the semantics and parsing words. Allow all marijuana establishments excluding
just
social
take out the
consumption.
all.
Okay. All right, and then we talk about how the EDC came in to save the day. Seeing the lack of viable areas in Norton that marijuana establishments could thrive, EDC in conjunction with the DPED and SERPED. I gave a shout out to SERPED since they helped us with the maps.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Work to propose changes to the town's bylaw, create a marijuana zoning overlay to expand in a specific and thoughtful way the areas in which marijuana's establishment could operate in Norton.
Hey, Laura, I'm going to ask one thing, and maybe Sandy can do this. When we met with SERPED, they actually made a comment about, I don't know, Sandy, if it was in respect to not being recognized, but they didn't want to be linked to the bylaw. So I think we should just make sure that they're comfortable with us citing them in here. Do you remember that, Sandy?
I do, yes. They didn't want to come to any of the public hearings or anything like that. They didn't want to be linked with that. I'm just looking at the context.
I mean, I think it's fine, but I just want to make sure it's fine with them.
Sandy, can you just remind me what time you showed up, if I can document it?
I wrote it down for you, 7:14.
Thank
you. Yeah, I can reach out to them and see if they're okay with mentioning them on the website. Is that what you want me to do, Renee?
Yes, please.
Yep.
Yeah, if they don't want an attribution, then okay. Then we kind of get into the process for all marijuana establishments. Prior to applying for any local permit, marijuana establishment must begin the process with the CCC, negotiate an HCA with the select board as the first step. Public hearing required within 6 months of the applicant beginning the licensing process with the CCC. Have a hypertext link to the actual document. The proposed amendments, and I had to asterisk this since they're not official, to town zoning bylaws found here with a link to the actual zoning bylaw. At this point, it's going to be a link just to a separate document since the bylaw has not been approved. Once the bylaw is approved, we can actually link it directly to the bylaw page. Along with site plan approval and special permitting process will govern where and in what manner marijuana establishments may operate within the town. Public hearing is required during the special permit process, and then the asterisk marijuana bylaw and zoning articles that were on the warrant for the 2020 Springtown meeting were referred back to committee, will be heard at the next scheduled town meeting to be announced, done at the request of town officials who wish to limit the length of the meeting in order to ensure the safety of voters attending. And then we get
Do you want to put due to COVID-19 at the end of that?
Sure. Yeah. Due to.
I'm just thinking 6 months from now, if we forget to update this,
Okay.
that there's some context on why it wasn't safe.
Well, you think 6 months from now we're going to forget about this?
You never know.
All right.
My hope is it's a distant memory in 6 months. I doubt that's going to be the case, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all scarred for life.
yeah.
Marijuana retail establishments request for information process. For most types of marijuana establishments, town may enter into HCAs on a rolling basis. However, because the town seeks to limit the number of retail marijuana establishments to 20% of the number of liquor license granted, EDC and DPED created a separate request for information process to evaluate those entities wishing to operate a retail establishment before entering into a host community agreement. Retail establishments will need an additional license granted by the select board in order to dispense. The RFI application process and timing to respond can be found here. So I will make a link to the bid page there. HCAs for retail establishments will not be negotiated except within the RFI process and timeline. Then just a general, please contact Paul DiGiuseppe for any questions. There's an extra space
So
here.
we listed Mike as the contact on the application on the RFI. Do we
Yep.
want to be consistent and list him again?
Not if we're putting this on the planning board's page, no.
Okay.
Because this is the basically end to the marijuana page on the planning board.
Okay.
Well, this is the end to the information about the marijuana process in general for the planning board. And then I stole the town that I was trying to think of or find last meeting that I had liked the way they had set it up, was actually Brookline. So they had just a thing, signed host community agreements. It was the name of the establishment and then the date, and then the document was hyperlinked, so you could just go straight to that. And then below that was a grid with the status of marijuana establishment proposals, and it assumes that their name is listed in the link above. So it had hyperlink to the entity's website, the proposed address that they're looking to set up, the type of establishment, the status where they are in the process, whether it had been withdrawn, and then in the event that they'd gotten through planning board process, it would either list whether the special permit had been granted yet, or provide the date that it had been issued. And then further updates would kind of just be kept within the status. So as they kind of progressed along, every month or so, we would kind of do a overview of the steps there where everybody was in the process, if there were any changes.
So for the license granted and the special permit, specifically, I guess the site plan and special permit granted, do we want an option for in progress or just no and a date if it's been done?
Yeah. Well, no kind of implies them. Well, I
Well,
guess
they may not have
it would
started, right?
Yeah.
They can sign an HCA and not actually submit for a special permit. I mean, we wouldn't think that that would happen, but they could.
Yeah. How about pending or date
Yeah,
that it was signed?
I think that's fine.
Okay. And then I need to check and see what space we have available. Ideally, I would like to use either the frame at the top left or the top right. From what I can see on our website, though, it looks like if we are a link off the planning board page, then we're still going to see the information that's listed on the planning board's main page on that top left frame. I don't think we get our own. So I'm hoping there is some other frame available within our specific page where we can list these specific documents. So there would be a link to the Cannabis Control Commission, the state regs, the presentation from the info session, the proposed bylaw, the proposed overlay map, the proposed overlay parcel list, the template host community agreement, the RFI document, and I was thinking the licensing slide from the actual presentation might be good here as well. I was actually wondering if we should put it in the
it
body of
up.
this, but it might be busy.
Maybe put it up top, like put what's most, no, in your list, your 1 through whatever, make it
Yeah.
like number 1.
Oh.
Like put it in order that is more relevant to them. Like they're already, people who are going to this are already going to have the CCC link,
Mhm.
right? So it's probably less applicable for potential applicants.
Okay.
But what they might not have is our proposals, this, like you said, the slide, that processing slide, the HCA,
Okay.
those things that are more specific to Norton.
Hey guys, can I
Um,
ask a question? I'm not sure if it's inappropriate for me to speak as I am a guest.
Go ahead, Alyssa.
I just was wondering if the HEAs will be negotiated on a rolling basis. Like, for example, whoever submits the RFI first can immediately begin negotiating for a host community agreement, or will everybody submit their RFI by the August 24th? And then the town at that point will decide which retailer is the right fit.
It's the latter. So all the
Okay.
applications will come in and we won't start reviewing them until they're done. And part of that process will be, like Mike will follow the same process that, say, for example, if you send him an email and ask him a question, he will respond to that question and provide that same information to all the applicants.
Great. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you for the question.
No problem.
I don't know why my spacing got weird here, but I can fix it. All right. Do you want the proposed bylaw and overlay above all the CCC and the mass regs too?
I think
Good.
so.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe at number 4.
Above the host community agreement or below it?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was below it.
Okay.
Probably.
All right. And that's it. So
I think looks great.
What I don't know is whether our website can accommodate something like this. And I don't know whether or not we have an actual frame off of our page to be able to.
Is that Michael Toole whistling into the phone?
I don't know what that is.
I was sorry, I unmuted myself and I realized that I'm in a car, so I can check with Nicole about all that. I've heard your concerns, and including the links and the sublinks that we have. I think it's important that we do have the links, the external links as well, and I can double check all that.
Okay. Yeah, ideally we can have a frame within the website that, you know, is listed as what resources, and it's strictly dedicated to kind of this endeavor.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I like that idea too. And I thought we saw that on another page, didn't we?
Another town's page or another page
No,
of Norton's?
another page in Norton where they had, like, you hovered over something and then it brought out a separate sub list.
You know, Renee, it's a capability. All the towns use the same web design. The question is what's the capabilities of the people in the town and the knowledge on how to expand it. So if you look at all the pages, they're all using a WordPress basic that's already set for the towns. The question is, are the towns tweaking it enough to make that happen?
Right. Well, what I'm saying, Mike, was I thought on our last call, we found specifically on the Norton website that there was one of the boards or committees was set up that way, where it had a sub list coming out.
Do you remember who?
We did.
No,
We did. It
I remember we
wasn't
searched for
it wasn't a committee. It wasn't a committee. It was one of the drop downs up top had another dropout that came out. It was.
I am remembering that
It
now.
was one of the Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. I don't think it was.
It wasn't
committee.
a board. So was it a department?
I didn't think it was a department. I thought it was one of the drop downs had another drop down underneath that list,
Yeah.
major list.
Yeah, like we whoops, of course now I'm clicking on things. Like we clicked on it and it expanded, right? Isn't that what happened?
Correct.
Of course, now I can't remember. Does anybody remember where that was?
No. Well, it's sort of like, you know, it's sort of like when you click on the board and committee drop down from the main page and you
Yes.
hover over EDC, there's like 3 or however many things listed off to the right, but I don't know. I think where those are coming from is those are the static ones that wind up when you actually get into the page that are in the top left block. And I'm hoping there's another or frame for more of a technical. So what I'm hoping is there's another frame that's available that just nobody knows about that might be available to use, and we can call it resources.
I'll dig in with Nicole to find out a little bit. Or I'll dig in with Nicole, because as you said, Brookline has it, Natick has it, Northborough has it. Those are the 3 town websites that I've been to over the last week, and they all have that capability, and we're all using the same platform.
Yeah, it's more of a
So it's just a matter of now we just have to know how to do it right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep clicking around while we're talking, because I know somebody on our group knew about it and said it, and we found it. I just didn't write it down.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna save this with tonight's date. Clean version 7.8 and ship that back to Michael.
Thank you, Miss.
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
I think it looks
Suggestions?
great. Thank you, guys. Nice job.
Okay, I'm going to stop
sharing. I
sharing.
want to thank Sandy as well. I know Sandy helped me a lot before it went to you, so I want to thank Sandy as well. On that.
Sandy's awesome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Sorry, I'm just eating. That's why I turned my video off.
You don't want to share with us?
Who, me or?
No, Sandy.
Oh, okay. I'm in the car. All right.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Renee?
Sure.
Okay.
Anything else on anything related to the application process or the overlay or bylaw or overlay project?
No. So the RFI, it's going to open tomorrow.
Yep.
It'll be open through the 24th of August. And we're going to hold all reviews until August and look at them en masse.
Yes, that's the process.
Okay.
And on that, you'll see on the RFI, I added in Mike's email address because he indicated during the call that the standard process is if somebody does reach out to him via email or phone call, that all folks who have responded are privy to the same information, just to ensure that we have a fair and consistent process. Yeah.
Okay. So are we going to be meeting more frequently than come the end of August, beginning of September to kind of get through them?
Yeah. So what we were talking about, and it's up to we can set dates whenever we want. I think we have time to do it. What I asked Mike to do, because he has more of an understanding of this, that when he starts to get the packets together and he sees the size of them, like determining, or at least a rough estimate of how long he thinks it's going to take us to review. So based on that, if we think that we can review multiple in one night versus we have to set, specific meetings per respondent, then we'll do that. But we don't really, I think we could probably set the first couple of meetings, but we don't really know what our volume is going to be.
If I can make a suggestion, I think we should be getting them either as they come in or in advance so that we are not reading them blind going into that meeting.
Oh, no, we would definitely have them before, but
okay.
But I think the process is you collect them all, right, at once, and then you distribute it out to the committee.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to go in having needing to read them. We don't have that
no, we
time
should come in with our comments and discussion points.
So that's why it'll help when he gets them back. Like if he's getting books like a 3-inch binder, right? That's going to take us a little more time. So I think that we'll have a better idea of how far out we need to schedule the meetings.
Okay.
I'm hoping that they're not that thick, but we've asked for quite a bit of information.
Yeah.
So
Sandy,
and we can certainly get updates.
Sandy, I have an email.
Oh, from Lauren?
I do. I just saw it pop in.
Do I need to say focus, Laura?
This was worth it.
Look, one committee at a time, Laura. Look,
Yeah.
one committee
No,
at a
you
time.
don't even know. Well, Michael does actually know the agita we've been going through. So.
Yeah. I love when you
Um,
throw those 25-cent words in there.
Sorry. That was a 50-cent word. I'm sorry. Inflation.
Right.
Fair enough.
I had another question about the process. It has escaped me. Okay,
We were talking about getting them in, having them before we review them.
I'll pop it in.
Okay. Let me know if you think of it.
Okay.
You know, the other thing that I thought of too, while I was getting stuff ready last night, was the fact sheet, the FAQ.
Yeah.
Do we want to do something like that and incorporate it into the website? Michael?
Sorry, I was just dropped my phone. I was trying to unmute. Yeah, you want to add the frequently, do you want to add that to a separate link down below, or do you want to add that into a separate its own link within the document?
I like it as a resource.
In the resource area?
I think so. Yeah, I had contemplated it. I think the problem is that the more information you add on the page, like the more cumbersome it becomes. There's no, yeah, we're restricted with the platform that we've got. I think it might be a better resource as a fact, as under a
As
resource.
a separate, like
yeah.
a document, you mean?
Yes.
As opposed to on the page? I
Yes.
mean, I think that's
Yeah.
fine. So we have, like,
I think it's
looking
a
at some of the,
hyperlink. I don't think it's
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I would agree with that. And I think it would be easier. The other thing too is you have to think about what's easier to manage, right? So if we have it on a web page, it's going to be harder because it has to go through other people versus us maintaining it in a document and just sending that document to be reposted, right, with the same URL. So,
Yeah.
like Laura, I'm looking at some of the questions that you had collected, you know, and I think too, by keeping it a bit separate, it allows us to link to it from perspective of a resident, right? Like some of the questions are great for applicants, but many of these really focus on what the townspeople would want to know. Townsfolk, I don't know where that just came from. So that I know. I just went off Southern there for a second.
you just use the word reckon too. I reckon on what the town folks think.
Yeah.
Are you fixing to?
I'll quote it.
Maybe. And I haven't even watched anything like fried green tomatoes, right? Like they have some of those things in there when they go back in time and then they come forward again. Anyway.
Laura, will you add that on the final document? Will you add that down below as a link, the frequently asked questions? So when you send that, so I just make sure I don't forget it tomorrow.
No problem. I'm going to make it as like number 3.
Awesome.
Okay.
Can you also make a note to put Renee's cell and to say call at 2 a.m.
Sure.
For any questions.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm in there.
I'm up all the time.
The sad thing is she'll probably answer her phone.
Yeah. I mean, I'm typically up then, so it doesn't matter.
The sad thing is that she'd be awake.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Somewhere in here, I thought I made a list of the more relevant frequently asked questions from that list that I had emailed to at one point, and now I can't find it.
If you want to reference the email, you sent it on June 6th at 8:24
No, I know,
PM.
but I took
Okay.
that and then I actually culled out some of them as not really being applicable because we are kind of beyond that process.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what I did with it, and maybe I didn't. Oh, nope, that's not it either. Damn it. I don't know what I did with it.
Were there any specific questions that seemed to, and I know there were, but for the life of me, I can't think of them now,
found
that
it.
seemed to resonate that we heard from the same people? Right? I mean, I know there were some in respect, like we definitely need to have a question about, the second one on here is where can marijuana establishments be located?
You want me to share my screen? I found the
Yes,
list.
please, go
Okay.
for it. If it's already there and we can
I got it.
we
I
can
got
add to it or whatever. While you do that, I'm gonna hide my view, and just so you guys know, I'm on day 3 of a diet, so the beast may be coming out
No
shortly.
cookies tonight?
No cookies, but I have my fruit and veggies.
Yay. Okay. So I had taken the list that I had sent to you and I tweaked it a little bit, but let's talk about which ones we want to leave in here and which, if any, we want to add or potentially take out. So the first question was, how many marijuana establishments will be allowed in Norton? Where can marijuana establishments be located? Which types of marijuana establishments will be allowed in this is city? We will change this to town.
Do you want to put that one first?
Which
So you
types?
so you talk about the types and then you go into, is the first question now supposed to be marijuana retail establishments?
Right now, this is just a list that I pulled from the email that I sent you and then worked it a little bit. So it's nothing terribly prideful about to switch it around. So which types of marijuana establishments will be allowed in the town? How many marijuana establishments will be allowed in Norton? And I figured at that point we can break down within the answer in regards to retail versus non-retail. Where can they be located? Will consumption of marijuana at retail establishments be permitted? This one I didn't know whether to leave in. How is security evaluated for marijuana establishments?
What if we make it more general about security, maybe some other things, and then point back to the CCC regulations?
Okay, how do we want to word it?
I like what are the security
Requirements?
requirements surrounding marijuana establishments?
Okay. What is the host community agreement? What is the RFI process? Who will approve HCA applications? What is a social? Sorry?
Can I suggest putting RFI first, then what is a host community agreement, and then who will approve it?
Okay.
Well, that's a good suggestion.
Okay. We have something in here about social equity. We stole this from another site. Do we want to leave this, move it up or down?
I think leave it. Isn't there also social equity and something empowerment that goes along with it?
Economic empowerment, but we don't qualify for economic empowerment here.
Is that a town thing, not a
Yeah, it has. You have to
applicant
fall
thing?
within the certain communities that qualify for it. We do not in any sense of the word.
Are you sure? I know Mansfield was on that list. Are you sure we didn't?
I would be very shocked to find that Mansfield was in an economic empowerment.
I'm almost positive. I remember seeing that list. Remember we looked up that link and we saw it, and we were shocked that Mansfield was, which would tell me that I would have remembered if Norton was on it. But
yeah, I mean, they were cities like
I don't ever remember seeing Norton on it.
Yeah, it's cities like Worcester, Boston, Dorchester, like major cities, Lynn.
Do you have that link, or can Melissa maybe guide us to that?
CCC economic. Hang on, I'm looking it up. Empowerment.
And is this something that we have to apply for or try to petition to be identified as?
The state determines if it's an economic empowerment priority area, from what I remember.
Can tell question?
Yeah.
What's, I mean, this is supposed to be the FAQ that's going out to the public, right?
Yeah, it'll be listed on the website under resources.
Why would a person ask about this? Why would a person ask this question? I guess, where would they ever see that? To even
Well, that's why I was wondering if we should leave it. I didn't think it was terribly applicable to a frequently asked questions for the website, but
I mean, I know nobody's ever asked us that before, right? So it's not something that has come up. I don't know how it would come up with
Well, I mean, we mentioned it on the application process in 2 different places. So
right, that's for the applicants who would know what it was if they were in it or not in it, right? So isn't this more FAQ for the general public?
yeah,
yes. And potentially interested parties who would also be aware of the program.
I mean, I'm not against removing it. You know, like I said, I want to focus too on the questions. You know, like I think about, we had initial conversations. Is Denise still on? We had initial conversations on, you know, people were concerned with loitering, traffic, right? Like I'd like to get some of those questions in there about, you know, what are some way, like if an establishment results in, you know, whatever traffic impacts, like how's the town going to handle that, or what do we have in place? You know what I mean? Like focus on things that are relevant to the conversations that we've had. I think, you know, we've talked quite a bit about the odor from cultivation facilities.
Isn't that all sort of under that one question of how will the board address impacts to my neighborhood? You want to delineate it out? I mean, I think you want to kind of keep it. Yeah, I don't know that you want to have too many questions. That
So you think under that to then parse it out?
Yeah, I think you could address in there the traffic issues, the odor issues, right? These are the concerns that we know people have come to us with, and this is how they get addressed. What's the board? Is that the planning board when they say the board?
Like I said, I stole these from somebody else, so
I would just say, how will the town address impacts?
Yeah.
Right, and you can get into, or how will they be addressed in general? You can talk about the whole thing. The state has their requirements, right? Then we have the planning board's going to have their requirements, just all the different checks and balances that are in the process.
Well, yeah, like the conditions of the special permit,
Right, so
complaints and going back to the board.
It's not just the planning board, it's the whole process, right? It gets addressed in all different stages.
It gets addressed in various stages, yeah. Yeah.
all right, let's go back to, so we want to remove the social equity question. Are we in agreement?
I'm fine with that. I mean, to Sandy's point, if we think about the true audience, it's probably at least relevant.
Yeah. Okay. Do regulations and processes vary by community? I feel like we're sort of addressing this up top in the types and the number. But we could get
That
into.
question would be redundant.
I'm sorry, Anthony?
I said I think the answers to that particular question could be redundant. Like you said, the questions above kind of address similar things.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to scrap that one.
I think as long as you state within the answers, this is what the state requires versus this is what the town of Norton requires.
Yeah.
That would need for people what's state regulated versus town regulated.
Yeah, and the next one in here is which state and local approvals do marijuana establishments need to open? And, you know, I think that's probably a good place to put the licensing process flowchart. within the answer to that question.
Yeah, Laura, excuse me 1 second. Denise,
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yep, we got you now.
Uh,
Sorry, Denise was trying to talk. You're
I
on,
was
Denise.
just gonna
Did you
say-
have something to add? Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier that I do agree that the less FAQs, the better. But I think the things like traffic and the odor has come up enough that those might be worth putting under a separate one just to kind of draw people's attention to it. Because it seems to be one that's repeatedly brought up. I don't know, just my thought.
Okay.
I'm okay if you don't too.
I'm wondering if we,
I mean, can
Yes.
we frame the question something like,
Well,
even
there's
putting
one
it
in
like,
here.
has the EDC or the board considered, potential traffic impacts, and then respond to how we've considered it through the HCA or through the bylaw?
Okay. Yeah, I just noticed there's one on here that's actually not a question. It's just a statement. And I don't know, I don't know whether I grabbed an answer from whatever site this originally was in. But this one here, which state and local approvals do we need to open? So maybe we talk about the process within, what is involved in granting a special permit, and then we can put in parentheses, traffic, odor mitigation, etc. Yes, maybe.
Like, you mean, I mean, I see the diagram that you created being helpful there. And if you wanted to put bullets, I'd start with like the beginning, right? If you're trying to answer that, the state grants the cannabis license. I don't even know what it's called. The
Well, I think
select
that one would
board.
go under this answer.
Right. So where are we trying to put your statement?
So this is a statement. And I'm
Yep.
suggesting changing it to what are the, I forget how I had put it, what is the process for an establishment being granted a special permit? And we could talk, this is where the traffic and odor and things like that could be addressed, but I'm trying to think of how to reword it.
I don't think you want to ask it in that way. To Denise's point, I think you want to say in the question, either the general question we have below that, how will addressing impacts. They don't really care about the special permit process. They just
Okay.
care that their neighborhood's going to be protected by that process. So the
I
question
see.
isn't, what's the process? The question is, how are you going to mitigate odor, traffic, whatever else?
All right. So something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to separate them out, I'm fine with that, but I think that question, either take it and put it all together, or you can separate that out into two different questions, of one with traffic, one with odor.
Okay.
I
Are
mean,
we getting?
I'm thinking that if we put it all together, it's going to be a really long response. So do we want people to have to go through it for their specific concern?
And what other concerns have been raised other than kind of the traffic and odor?
I mean, we've had traffic, odor, loitering.
Proximity to
Yep.
other.
Yeah, proximity to different businesses or homes, yeah.
I'm just going to leave it as
That's
proximity.
been a big one. The proximity to daycares, the little babies
Yeah.
coming out.
Okay, maybe you could talk about the impacts for retail, which is the traffic, and then the impacts for cultivation, which is the odor. So those would be the two questions.
Okay. Cultivation. What about manufacturing? Their odor related to.
I'd put those together.
Like that?
Yeah, I think that's fine. So let me ask you this. The way that we've listed this, we're kind of preemptive to say that we are going to have impacts from these. Would it be better to rephrase the question to say, what are potential impacts of retail establishments? Because like I read it and it automatically has a negative connotation, like, oh, now I'm going to have problems.
Well, I think these are the questions that have been asked out of the gate without us prompting, so I think they're already in their minds. I think no matter how we state it, we're drawing attention to it. But it's a question that needs to be answered, so.
So you don't think restating it, just say, what are the potential impacts of retail establishments in my neighborhood, and how would the town address them, is a little more friendlier than assuming that the impacts are going to be there? Like I just read it as, we know that there are going to be impacts, but that's not the case.
Right, but when you
Right.
say what are the impacts, and then you open it up and said, oh, there could be traffic, odor, distance or proximity issues. I think this hits it, this addresses it more head on. It is we are aware of this, you having this potential issue, and here's how we are going to address it. As opposed to surprising, saying, hey, these are some impacts that are going to, affect you.
No, I wasn't.
What about putting it as, I mean, I agree, Renee, that it's negatively posed right now. I don't know that your solution makes it much more positive though, because again, you're saying, what are the impacts, right? So, again, assuming that there are some.
Someone who's going to be against this has already had these thoughts in their minds. So I think right now we're trying to soften something that I think doesn't really matter. I mean, they're going to come up with these points anyways. So I would tend to go with Laura's point of just leave it the way it is, because people already know. These are questions that, because they're frequently asked, these are the questions that have been asked about. Right?
They have, but I mean, maybe it's the word impact. What if it's something like, and I don't know if this is the solution, Sandy, back to your point,
I would say
like how will the town address traffic or
Effects?
how's the town going to address the concerns of the residents related to traffic and?
Yes, I like that.
Address the residents' concerns
Of traffic.
proximity.
And what about location? Just put traffic and location of retail establishments. I would even just, do we need the in my neighborhood?
Okay.
I'm just thinking of the daycare, right? The daycare isn't necessarily in people's neighborhood, but it keeps coming up as an item. That Denise can write the response to that in her sleep.
Oh, the daycare one?
Yes. Coming back on, I can't eat any more cucumbers.
Okay. So we've got, how will the town address residents' concerns of Traffic and location of retail establishments, and how will the town address the residents' concerns of odor of cultivation and/or manufacturing establishments?
So we'll just have to remember in the traffic response to address, I'm looking at like the list I had from the people who reached out, and one of them was about access, right, into a location. We just need to bucket that response into traffic. Like having access from a primary. I know primary is not the word that council used, but whatever the language was that she drafted from a primary thoroughfare, maybe is what she said. Thoroughway. No, it's not right.
We know what you mean.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. This is a good one. Will the town get tax revenue from, should we just, this is asking specifically cannabis sales.
Do we use the word cannabis anywhere else?
No, well, no, although the next one does.
Can we just say marijuana establishments?
Yeah, I think so. And then do we need this last one? Where can I find out about more about, I think between our page, we've already kind of addressed, and we put it within the resources, the link to the CCC and the regs.
Mm-hmm. If we link to this though separately from the EDC for whatever reason, if we wanted to just promote this, would we want to link back to that main page?
Sorry, repeat that.
If we wanted to promote the FAQs separately,
Mm-hmm.
would we want to link back? Like, should we put in this document just really the landing page where this document's being maintained or housed? Like, while we assume that somebody's going to go to the site first and then go into the FAQs,
Mm-hmm.
there's a possibility that somebody, or we may even just put the FAQs out there and they hit the FAQs bypassing all the sites, like bypassing the actual town website. So would we want to put our town website back on there?
All right, but then do we want to say where can I find more about marijuana establishments in Massachusetts or in our town?
What if we put, where can I find out more about marijuana establishments, and then we answer it with a town and then a Massachusetts link?
Where would we ever use the facts separately?
I mean, we might promote them. Somebody might grab them and post the link on social media. They might say, oh, hey, you've seen questions thrown out there. And then somebody might say, oh, well, look at this FAQ document. And just provide the direct link.
Oh, within the answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. I think it's slightly redundant for a slim to none chance of it happening, but.
Well, I've seen more people who take specific content from an overall site without the entire context, and then it gets blown out of control, right? So I think if somebody's going to provide this to somebody separately, that even maybe not even in a question, Laura, maybe you just put in the footer, put the URL in the footer.
You can find more.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I'm going to be jumping off within the next 5 minutes, so I'm not sure if there's anything else, Renee. I wanted to talk about the survey.
Is 5 minutes
Because
enough time to talk about the survey? Or do you want to postpone until our next meeting?
I think it's not pressing, but I think
we can.
Michael, you're breaking up there. What was that?
I guess it can wait till the next meeting. Did you hear me or no?
No, I heard the first part.
I said it can wait till the next meeting then.
Okay, that's the part we heard. What was the second part that you said?
That's it. It's nothing that's overly pressing. It can wait till the
Okay.
next meeting. Although will not be here for the next meeting. I will be on vacation.
That's okay. I had a proposal that we'll talk about later about, do we need a meeting next meeting, or do we take a little summer vacation before we go into August?
I was going to actually bring that up. I think that's a very smart idea.
Seconded.
Yes, yes.
You gotta make the motion first.
You can't make a motion yet. We're not there. But we can talk about it.
I make a motion
Okay.
to skip the next meeting.
Second, there's a motion on the table, Chair.
Okay.
You've got to.
Did you get that, Anthony? So motion to not hold a meeting on July 22nd, which would put our next meeting, if I got the date right on this agenda, on August 5th.
Got it.
And that was who was the second there? I heard a couple seconds.
I heard Laura primarily.
Was she the motion or the second?
I was the motion.
She was
Denise
the
the
second.
second.
Wait, what, Michael?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
Michael was the second?
No, Denise was the second.
Okay, the first. Gotcha. Okay, so we got a motion and a second to not have a meeting on July 22nd. Let's go roll call. Michael, in case we lose you, you want to go first?
Yes.
Laura?
Notice I didn't do yay.
Thank you. Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
I also say yes, so that is unanimous that we will not have a meeting on July 22nd. Our next meeting will be August 5th at 6:30 p.m. And that will give us, I mean, I'm not opposed to if we want to wait and regroup after that, but I don't want to slow anything else down on the business guide or the survey that Michael wants to talk about. So if we wanted a longer break, I'm just saying.
Wait, repeat that one more time, Renee.
Which part? That if we wanted a longer break?
No, you said I like spaced out. What'd you say about the business guide?
Oh, I said if we wanted to take a longer break, going into August and moving that next meeting or canceling the next meeting, we could, but I don't want to, lose any momentum or potential discussion areas on the business guide or the survey.
Okay.
So we'll hold, looks like right now we'll hold at our next meeting being August 5th. But we're not done yet. Okay, Michael, anything to add before you have to depart?
No, I think that is it. Just real quick, and we won't change. Very similar to what we saw on the discussion pieces on Norton Neighbors. I know many of you saw the feed on there. I think we can monopolize that into kind of a survey type thing, and I'll roll it out in more detail at our next meeting when it's on the agenda.
Okay, I think you slightly broke up, so I'm just going to add to that I believe you were saying that the discussion that was going on Norton Neighbors about what type of a business or establishment that they wanted on 140, that you would be able to leverage that for the business survey, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I think what we do is we break it into 10 little questions and do polls on social media, and I think we're going to get better responses. And I surrendered to Denise. Let's only have 10 questions. All right, Denise, you've gotten it out of me. You've noodled me down and outweighed me, so there's only 10 questions on this survey. So
Sweet. I love it.
She's going to celebrate now.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think that's probably the best way. And I think if we do it through social media, we'll get a quick response, because I was blown away by the 300 comments made on that one question that guy posted. So.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I still don't know whether he's legit. Like, it was just such an odd way of going about a business plan or a business model that I put on there that we were following just to kind of attract more, knowing we were going to get a lot of hits there and attract more people to the EDC page. But I still don't know whether that guy is for real.
Can I ask a question about this survey? Because I think I missed the meetings you guys, originally had these conversations on. So what's our goal with the survey? What are we trying to, what data are we trying to get from that? And what are we going to try to do with the data?
I think it's kind of giving us a measure. I think we don't have any data points right now on what people want. And I think the goal of it would be to have some simple data points on, 60% of people would prefer this type of business in town. Just to give one example, right? And I don't have all the questions right in front of me. I'm driving, but I think it's to give us some simple data points that we can reference to businesses to try to attract them, and also to expand other components of business that we already have in town, right? So I think that was my intention. I'm one piece of the pie here, so one piece of the puzzle.
You don't want to be a food reference tonight?
I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm thinking pie.
Yeah, and I'm not eating pie, so let's not talk about pie. So I think too, Michael, to add to that, I think you had more questions in there as well, not only in respect to what type of a business we wanted here, but drilling down into more detailed information. I think to Sandy's point, it'll be, what do we do with the data, right? Like things like Laura's discussions that she's had with the Gator folks and companies like grocery stores, who have looked at what sort of revenue they can generate and is it a viable option within the town? Like those will have to be discussions afterwards. I think once that data is seen. But Sandy, if I can dig up a survey, I don't think I have it in written form. Michael, I don't know. Do you ever remember sending it out electronically?
Yeah, the survey that I have, I definitely have it electronically, but I'm thinking about cutting that down 1,000 times, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. No, I think,
smaller.
yeah, I think that's perfect. But I think just to provide Sandy with some context, because we've all seen those other questions, and have provided feedback. Maybe if you can dig that up, if you can just send her the copy, just so she can get up to speed on those previous discussions. And I do think, Sandy, it was before you joined the EDC, formerly known as IDC.
Send that to me, that'd be great. I just curious to see, if we're gonna discuss culling that down, what the questions are to start with.
I know my one standard answer is Panera.
We
Ship of
understand.
sales.
I'm gonna, that ship is. We do not meet the demographics of having a sport of Panera. But I'll send over the survey, and I'm gonna jump at this point, guys. And I want everyone to have a great rest of the week. Okay.
Thank you, Michael. You too.
Thanks.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks. We'll talk later. All right.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.
Would the results also, Renee, fit into what Anthony's working on with the promotional?
With the guide.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that there will be a lot of symmetry there to say, just to provide the information on Norton residents have spoken and this is what they're saying. These are the things that we'd like to see within our community. I think that would definitely be helpful, especially for something that we don't have. I know like there were some things and it's hard to conceive too. Like I think somebody mentioned like a movie theater or a bowling alley and like maybe a jump park. Some of those are hard to conceive right now because a lot of them aren't open, but it's also hard to like picture something, I think, of that size in our community. But that's not saying that doesn't mean that there's not interest there and people would like to see a shift, you know. So I think that it'll be valuable information. I didn't read, I don't think that I've been on that that particular post. I think I've just gotten, you know, some of the comments from other people about, or seen, you know, snapshots of some of the posts. So was there a theme? I saw like gas stations and a couple grocery stores.
Yeah, I think it was no gas stations. It was the consensus.
Oh, really? I thought it
Yeah.
was gas station on that
Honestly,
side of town.
it was all over the map.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people wanted supermarkets and Trader Joe's and restaurants and coffee shops and bakeries and.
Right.
So has anyone, I haven't actually gone through because that string got really unwieldy quickly, so I've not gone through all of it, but has anyone gone through and just kind of documented all the different like categories of things that people had an interest there? Just to kind of give us a sense? Or is it worth doing that?
I thought Michael just said he was going to do that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Before he left, didn't he?
I thought he said he was going to look at them and take some of that feedback and incorporate it in, but maybe I misunderstood what he was going to incorporate in.
Good.
It may have been our feedback from before.
Yeah, I
can
thought he
ask
said
him.
he was going to grab the
Perhaps.
data and kind of parse it out and see what the breakdowns look like.
I can touch base with him, and if he doesn't, if he's not doing that, I can do that.
I mean,
was
were
just
there,
gonna say,
sorry, Denise, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Anthony, write down Michael Tool's task. It's now,
And then we'll we'll let him know at the end of the meeting. Well, since you left, we gave you all the tasks.
right.
Be happy to give that to him.
I was going to say, it shows he's still in the meeting, so he's probably sitting there listening to us and cursing us.
No, you know what? Remember he called in on his phone and he had his computer?
Oh, he left his laptop open?
I'm wondering if that's the case. And he was on the phone.
Oh, I wish he left the camera on.
Can I dispel? Let me see if I can remove him. Because I don't want to. Oops. I can remove him. Let me just remove him.
Kick him out.
You won't be able to rejoin the meeting though. It just told me that. Okay. So Anthony, with that, unless there's anything else on, so under the marijuana I just put a placeholder for a town meeting communication and future expectation. I did ask to have a discussion on a potential special town meeting at tomorrow's select board meeting. I don't know how that's going to go or where it's going to go, but I wanted to at least broach the subject. You know, and I think it's not just going to be for marijuana, but the zoning articles overall.
Under our charter, a multiple member body can call for a special town meeting.
We could, but I'd like to get like just opinions of folks first. I mean, I thought, you know, and I'll say this tomorrow meeting, I thought that they did a good job of setting that meeting up. I think that we learned some things, you know, like we have to have a tent. And maybe it was just us sitting up there on metal bleachers, but it was sweltering. And I was concerned for people who, you know, were getting up to the mic and talking. And I mean, you could tell, right? So there are a couple things you can do, like have it a little bit earlier. But if we're looking at something or we're going to request something to happen in, you know, early August or mid-August, Walter did give me some dates as well of when he's going to be out of town, just in case that, you know, we were thinking about a special town meeting and we thought it made sense. Obviously with the tent, there's some cost to it. So we have to think about that. I don't think that the costs were as significant as initially expected for what we held. But I got to tell you what, I mean, I thought that it was refreshing is probably not the right word, but that's the only word I can think of right now. To be outdoors, we had a really good sound. Like I thought I heard it better this time than I ever have indoors.
It was charming.
Yeah, that might be a good word for it. You know,
I kind of looked around. I looked around at one point and I'm like, all right, you know, it looked like something you would see more in the Midwest.
Yes. Maybe that's why I felt more comfortable with it. I don't know. It would be nice if there were like a little coffee stand there with maybe some muffins or donuts, right? And you could just go up and, you know, like anything that you do outside, like especially sports, like I always want some sort of vending area, grab something. But I thought it was nice, but it was sweltering hot. I mean, and it got hot fast in that sun.
Yeah. Well, you guys were facing the sun. We at least had it behind us. I was looking at Jack and melting because he had his sport jacket on still, and I'm just
know.
like, please take that off.
I know. At least Mike took it. I saw Mike.
But
I'm like, Mike.
Yeah, you were on metal bleachers with the sun in your face. I couldn't even imagine. It was so brutal.
It was hot. Sherry was really good at coming around asking if anybody needed water.
Yep. So when I was standing in line to speak, the guy in front of me asked for a chair. He was teetering.
Well,
and the people who were cleaning the mics brought a chair over for him to sit down because it was some of the older folks, I think, were struggling a bit in the sun.
Yeah, and I mean that's certainly going to be a concern. The other thing too is we should have done a better job. The instruction in the beginning was to raise your hand, stay in your seat, and a microphone will be brought to you. And instead, people kept getting up, and I kept seeing Bill move because he had a microphone right behind him, like a foot behind him. So when somebody came up, he moved to social distance. So I think that may have been helped if we had people actually remain in their seats and not go up to the microphone, which I know it's hard because that's always been a normal course, but I think we
shouldn't
just
have put
need
the stands up then.
I know. We should just have people holding the mics. So again, right, we learned from it. It's a new environment to do it, but I thought overall it went well. We certainly didn't have a lot of people there, so we have to consider that too. I mean, I imagine particularly these articles are going to bring more people out. Who's calling me at 8:30 at night? More people out. So we have to think about that from a cost perspective, a tent, or if we do say, have people bring their own. I mean, I got to tell you, like, I'm all about come with your 10 by 10, set up your own tent, that's tailgate, but not tailgate, right? That's home. So anyway, I mean, if there are opinions that you'd like me to express tomorrow night, feel free to share or feel free to join the meeting and express them yourself.
I just would say that I think Mansfield had maybe 300 or so at their town meeting, at a good size. So, certainly it's possible to have a good crowd. And if we're concerned about numbers or being too big, we could certainly look to their example to see what they might have done.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to go outside of town lines for a special town meeting, or was it just the annual that we had to stay within?
I think it applies to all meetings have to be held within, but again, that legislation was brought forth. I don't know whatever happened to it. So we can certainly ask town council if there's been any movement on that. The other thing, do you guys know, what did they use for a speaker system there? Did they just rent speakers?
Mansfield or Norton?
Mansfield. Joe told me that they actually, we do rent that. Like that equipment was supplemental. It's not something that's typically on the field. But I thought it was powerful. I'm like, I'm not having problems hearing anyone.
I was getting echo. So when I got up to talk, I was getting the echo back. So it was really distracting if you were speaking into a microphone. But otherwise, I thought I could hear everything perfectly fine. I thought it was, as long as they were speaking into the microphone. I had no problem hearing it, but as a participant, it was a little unnerving when you started getting the echo back in your.
Right. That's when you have to just break out in tune and take it all in. You don't know how bad I wanted to go up to that mic at a couple points and just start singing.
You first.
Oh, I will. You don't have to dare me there. I'll be right up there.
I'll back you up.
Will you? Okay,
Sure.
Let's do it. We're gonna pick a song for next time.
Okay.
Has to be something about marijuana, or from somebody who is like heavy into marijuana. Support the cause.
You gotta pick a Dead song then. No.
A who song?
Grateful Dead.
I was thinking more like Bob Marley.
Mm.
Everything's gonna be all right, or wait, was that him? Who
Snoop
sings
Dogg.
that? Every
Three Little
thing.
Birds.
I don't know
Snoop
that.
Dogg.
Snoop Dogg.
Use Little Wayne too.
Maybe we can do like, you know how they do on, does anybody, we're totally off topic, but I'll say it real fast. On Mix 104 on Fridays, they do like the whole,
Remix.
yes, maybe we can do it like that and we can like switch it up like in Pitch Perfect. Could be a new goal.
It could be an acapella. Jeez. All right, focus.
Okay, so any comments that you guys would like me to take to the select board tomorrow on the potential special town meeting? Anybody against talking about having a special town meeting due to the environment or costs? Okay.
No, I think things might look even a little scarier in October. We might as well, while we are looking good, I think we should take advantage of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good to know.
I mean, my only comment would be, and I've mentioned this before, is if we get like late into December, I mean, not December, September, or at least even mid-September, like just wait for the October meeting at that
Right.
point, right?
I mean, I'm honestly thinking like no later than the 25th of August.
I
And
agree.
that's,
And
I think
trying
Walter
to avoid
said
going
he's-
back to school.
right.
Nobody's going to
because-
focus
Yeah.
on it then.
Yeah, there's enough stuff going on. I mean, I really think the opportune time would be early August. I don't know if, I mean, we can certainly, you know, we only need 14 days to call a special town meeting. So that's a potential too. I
So I
mean,
will say that practices have started over at the high school, like for baseball and cross country. I don't know if baseball has stuff on Saturday, but just something to be mindful of. I don't know if the field,
Yeah.
if the field to occupy on those days.
the football field is or the baseball fields?
I've seen baseball there. I know cross country is there, but they won't be there on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's any other sports that are also at that point will be on the fields, but just something to be mindful of.
Yeah, I was thinking of, you know, they're looking for the graduation on July 25th, and I was like, oh, is there a way, you know, they're going to hold that Saturday that we could piggyback off of that, because if they got tents, right, we could share the expense of tents, either for like, I'm like, but what our options would be bad and worse, right? One would be Friday night, you know, and then they have their graduation on Saturday, but like I'm thinking graduation before or after, but I'm like, who wants to, like, you know, you want to celebrate with your family if somebody's graduating and you want to be there to prepare beforehand. So that's even a worse option. And then I'm like, there's no way we're doing Sunday. That's not going to happen.
So I'm sorry, explain to me what's happening on the 25th.
They're trying to do an outdoor high school graduation. So one of the things that, you know, they were taking, they were, you know, having their own observations during the town meeting of potentially they might have to move it earlier or securing a tent because of the heat. Because remember, the whole school committee was back there getting, I thought they had it worse because they, like, at least I felt some breeze coming, but like they were all backed up against that. I don't even know what you call that on a field where people, that box where people sit. I'm like, it must be like 100 degrees up there. So anyway, in my mind, I was thinking, is there a way that we can leverage and share expenses? Because the field would be prepped, the sound system would be there, the tents would be there potentially, you know, to have a special town meeting. And I'm like, the only way we could do it would be like Friday night. And that would mean, you know, we'd have to prepare earlier than Friday night, and it's a Friday night. Like, I don't know the chances of people coming out on a Friday night to a town meeting.
They
And
don't
you're
have
going to want to avoid nights anyway because now we have mosquitoes.
Yeah, I know.
We have to bleed. So
I know. When I saw that news report the other day, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And they are bad this year. I mean, I've had my guy out two additional times.
yeah.
Laura, were you going to say something?
I'm just looking to see what the July 20th, we'd have to move quick. So the 25th is a Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be able to do it. There's
No,
I just don't see
but
a
I was
way.
thinking if we, you know, the school is already renting some of that
Right.
equipment, you know, if we could piggyback on their contract, extend it a couple of days, see if you know, and sharing the expenses that way. See if the companies who are renting us that equipment would give us a longer term contract so that we might be able to use it on a different day afterwards.
I don't think you
Say
want
that.
any evening though, do you? Think
Yeah,
you'd
I don't
rather
think we
have
would.
Saturday morning is probably the best time, just.
Yeah. I was thinking like the Monday night, but then we get this mosquito issue.
Right. And it's, you know, it's not like we can start at 4 because we can't assume that everybody's, you know, working from home and able to make that, because that's certainly not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Monday,
know, Laura.
Monday's charter commission, so.
Right. I was with you too. I'm like, how, like I was working and trying to work it out in my head, like, how could we do that? How could we leverage both? And I think if it were anything other than like the high school graduation, there would be opportunities, but that's, you know, that's really a time for people to celebrate on the commitments and accomplishments that the kids have made. So I wouldn't want to muck that up with a town meeting, pot or no pot.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we move on in the interest of time? I know Anthony wanted to review the business guide with us and he was going to share his screen, which you should be able to do now.
Yeah, so I'm going to make it brief. Like you said, Renee, the next meeting we can touch base more with it. So I just want to go over like a quick overview of what I've completed and then get some of feedback. That way I can incorporate more of the stuff that you guys want. And that way I can send out the final draft for everybody's review. So give me 1 second. Let me figure this out. I haven't done this in such a long time. College days.
What was that, 2 weeks ago?
Exactly. All right, let's see. So can you guys see it? What are you guys looking at?
Yes. Your fountain and the business guide to the left.
Oh, why isn't it? I can't touch it. Oh, there we go. All right. All right, so the last time, obviously, we made some corrections. This was about, what, maybe a year ago. It was months ago, that's all I know. So I updated the cover page, so I'll go slowly through and introduce some of the new things that I added. So again, the wording, I still want to compile and kind of make it more direct. And I know I took some of Laura's comments in consideration from a couple months ago, but you don't have to read all of it. Like I said, I'm going to send it via email. What was that?
What was that, Laura?
I don't even remember making any comments.
Yeah, I know. I remember specifically that you wanted me to change because I had businessmen and businesswomen. You're like respected business owners because I do specifically remember that.
Oh, okay.
Just a brief introduction, and then getting down into the nitty gritty is I've added the key people, and this is another thing that I just want to overlook again, or not overlook. I don't want to overlook it because I want to make sure that the numbers are accurate and in terms of whether or not we're going to use the admin lines or the direct lines. And I have a variation between, you know, the different departments. And then this is where the question comes in for you guys. What other key people would you think would be applicable or important to add to this business guide?
I think Mike, units. Okay. He should definitely be on there. The other thing, Anthony, you cannot list, you don't have to list direct line or admin line, just put a phone number.
Okay.
You know?
Sure.
And I thought that, were you going to reach out to them just to say what number do you prefer, or are you just going by what's on the website right now?
I went by the website, but I can totally check back with them, and I think that would be the most appropriate thing to do. Because I don't know, because I know a couple of times I called the numbers that were online and nobody answered. So I want to make sure if they're not, you know.
Was that during COVID when nobody was there?
No, it was before.
Okay.
Yeah, no, unfortunately. So you said Mike units.
Mike units, yeah.
Anybody else have any suggestions?
We don't have the police department on there. Would we want the police department? Potentially, right?
Police department. So, okay, yeah. Police department. Just writing everything down. We'll add those two. And then are there any others? No? Okay, I'll continue.
I can't think of.
Like I said, I'll send this via email and then look back for comments. Anybody wants to comment, they can make them on the actual document themselves.
Okay.
The format looks really nice.
It does, yeah. I'm all about the
Oh,
purple.
Renee, do we have a issue with the photo?
So I was thinking about that when he first brought it up. I don't know. Anthony, Jack got this weird email that he thinks is spam, but I think there might be something to it where somebody said that some of the photos used on the town website might have copyright infringement. I don't know if that's a case or if it was spam coming to us.
Okay.
But just in conversation, it seems like everybody's taken the same picture from the town website, but nobody really knows where that picture came from.
Okay.
I have
So-
an idea. Alan Litchfield is a friend of mine. He lives in town, does a lot
Phenomenal
of
photographer.
photography. I can ask him if he will grant us access to some nice photos to use, and then we'll have our own.
Heck yeah, that's a great idea.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Does he take good, like, professional,
some-
like, pictures?
Yes.
His
Yeah.
pictures are really good.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you want him to do a photo shoot like with your kids and the dogs and things like that, yeah, he does nice work. He's
I need
into
one
it.
for my business cards too.
He's really good.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. I'll ask him.
Thank you.
Sure.
So just
And,
quick
and
facts.
let him know we'll give him credit on the
Yeah.
on the page. Sorry, Anthony.
No, you're fine. So just quick facts, what Norton has to offer and the Norton statistics based off of that document that Mike Units provided a couple weeks ago to me. However, I want to see if these statistics are updated since then because I think it was a 2013 report or it could have been 2018. I don't remember the specific date. I know that it was a little bit older. So I want to make sure that the statistics are up to par.
So you think that our location moved?
What was that?
You think
No,
that our
well, no.
location?
All right, Lynette. all right. Now, location, obviously, stuff like that's applicable, but in terms of like tax rates, I wasn't sure if that had changed at all.
I think we're at 1480 something.
Okay, and I'll verify all of that stuff. So I'll just continue moving down. So this is the kind of meat of the document in itself. So I wanted to provide, a document that somebody could use, a guide that somebody can use where they're new to Norton, they don't live in Norton, but they're establishing a business. So just a brief overview, and I kind of used some of the information that I found between the Attleboro page, or at Mansfield page and Newton page in terms of formatting and what's appropriate. And I've talked to Paul as well, because I try to get a general sense of what would be a standard business process to establish a business, but then I've learned that there are so many different requirements for different industries. So I just kind of kept it open by just putting the basic stuff like, how to get a business certificate, I should say. And then I went to permit and requirements.
Can I just add in there that given that this is Norton, I would say permits requirements, I would say conservation is going to be pretty likely.
Okay. So
Permit,
actually, good point. Should I add a whole page about conservation? Because I actually thought about that.
I don't know about a whole page, but it definitely needs to be called out given, maybe one of the point, I mean, we're what, 40% water, right?
Give or take.
And I wonder if Jennifer might have something, like I remember she said when I first joined the Board of Selectmen, I met with her just to kind of understand what she did. And I remember she made some comment about, the fact that we're 40% water certainly presents challenges, but it doesn't mean that we can't have businesses in town, right? Maybe she can provide some sort of language
Sure, I'll reach
to
out
that
her.
effect too.
Okay. So some generic questions that people might consider in terms of zoning and planning and, particularly serving alcohol, what they would need, just some generic off-brand questions that always come up. And then I went into a little bit more detail about the business certificate and, what they would have to do, including going to the town clerk. And that's how everything's going to be facilitated. I used some of the language from MassGov website. And again, I'll send this all in the email. So I just want to quickly go over it. And then special permits. And then development opportunities and references. So I included kind of the different business parks. So speaking of Condon, I used their information that they provided. I included some links that people can use if they're interested in, establishing any type of business in the business parks, including the GSA map for reference. And then, so that's where I am right now in terms of the business guide. Like I said, I want to send it out once I get this additional parts of conservation, and then I'll do the edits for the photos and add Mike in the police department to the key resource people. Other than that, are there any other like sections you guys think would be beneficial for this business guide? Like, I'm just trying to think out loud. What if I was a business to come into town? What are the the key people that I would need to reach instead of having to waste time digging all of that information up?
What
I can
about
just have
like
it
a,
in stuff.
like a flow chart of some kind that just
Yeah. Okay.
delineates like who to go to first and
Sure.
um,
Low
I'm
chart.
sorry, Anthony, do you have the Great Woods Plaza, the Gator Investments Plaza on here too?
Oh, I do not. Good
I would
catch.
put them on here.
Michael, isn't there a link too that shows the available commercial real estate? Didn't he share something?
It's yeah, but it's a commercial
Okay.
site. I can't remember the name of it.
Like I think of that in addition to Gator, right? I mean, these are three big concentrated areas, but what about
It's
what
like a
about the
red,
Dunkin' Donuts that's going to
yeah.
be vacant, right? Like how do we either have a list or provide people with the opportunity to search
Sure.
available real estate?
LoopNet.
We have LoopNet.
LoopNet. It's kind of like the Redfin or Zillow of
Can you spell
commercial.
that?
LoopNet.
LoopNet. Okay.
Yeah. Not everything is going to be out here, but generally, if you're looking for commercial real estate, that's where you would go. That's
Sure.
what you'd look
Okay.
up.
Anthony might suggest too, just a placeholder now on your page, not necessarily on this, but should the village core move forward, I think that we would want to highlight that and show a map or the areas. We should, if we haven't put anything in here about being a marijuana friendly town, we might want to put a little asterisk on that with a link to the main page that they're working up.
Right. That was
Alrighty.
actually another question that I had in terms of the stuff about marijuana. What would you want me to include? Is it just links to the pages and the different various pages from the website, or?
I think so. I think, maybe just a small statement, or not a small statement, a powerful statement, highlighting the fact that, we allow that industry here and, or would, be interested in having discussions on that industry being here, and then pointing them to that page. I think the page, I think the, the information that's going to go out there is going to be valuable long term, and I'm always a big fan of like consistency and keeping it in all one spot. So if we can use a link to get there, I think that
Okay.
would be the best.
Absolutely. All right, so awesome. So yeah, like I said, once I get all these new bullet points in and I adjust it and I get like a final draft, I'll send it like via emails. That way everybody can take a look and make their final comments, and then we'll create that final copy.
That looks great.
Sure, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, great job.
What are you doing this in, Anthony?
What'd you say?
What are you doing it in? What application are you using?
So I actually had my friend format the visual aspect in terms of like I don't even know how to like the not the captions, but like the titles and stuff like that. So she helped me use it, but she used like Word. So she helped me format on Word.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know how, but
Sandy, do you have the same perplexed look? I would think that would be difficult to do in Word, to be honest.
no, it was on Word, and I think it's an application. She also, I think it was Canva or something else that she utilized. I don't know. I'll have to ask her specifically, but she helped me with the formatting, and all I know is that I can do all the edits that she did on Word. So.
Oh, good. That was my next question, was going to be, is that a sustainable process, or do we have to bring her in as a member?
Nope, not at all.
Excellent. Does she want to be a member? Because I think we might have an alternate seat we do have an alternate seat available, actually.
No, so she's actually, I went to school with her. She lives in Connecticut.
Oh,
So who is no longer a alternate?
so Frank did not renew when we had to approve at the board. His showed no.
But his
Last-
seat isn't
last
up until 2022.
He was on the list.
He is on actually, he's 2023.
Is that the guy who joined a couple months ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, how could he be 2023 if he wasn't 2020?
He joined in 2020, right?
Yeah, I don't know who's.
Your term.
He's only a spot.
Let me pull up. Hold on, I have the materials downloaded. Anybody know what 2 weeks ago the date was on Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday was the 25th
Thank you.
of June. Because our website is showing he's, I thought the last time I looked at him he was 2022, but he's showing on the website as 2023 right now.
Which means he would have been up this year.
Yeah.
Which means what, Sandy?
He would have been up this year in 2020. If he's up in 2023, he'd be up in 2020.
Yeah.
Well,
same
no,
with
because he
me and
just
Mike
joined.
Massini.
Right, but he
So-
filled on the spot though, so he, whenever that term ended, that's when his term ended. It's not like
But
he's.
That spot didn't exist. That was a new alternative spot.
We only had one alternate spot?
Yeah. Yes.
How did we add another one?
Board of Selectmen added it.
Did we add it?
Pretty sure. I mean, we had to have in order for Frank to get seated.
I thought we always had 2 spots.
I thought we always had 2 as well. But I was pretty sure it was a 3-year term when he was appointed.
It's a 3-year term, but it had an end date that whenever it was started.
No, I know that. But when he was appointed, I thought it was 4. Like it just happened to fall on that year. You know what I mean? Like it just happened to be that it was 2020. Hold on, I swear his name was on there.
It probably was 2020, but he was appointed prior to 2020 ending.
Oh, meaning he was appointed in January, but the term was up in June.
Right.
So why he should never been put on there as 2023 then?
He's definitely on there as 2023.
Yeah, he is. And I know I remember when I said, can you add him? But I said, I don't know the date. And the response I got back was, it's 3 years. He's up 2023. So how did he end up? Hold on. I just got to find. I'm sorry, Laura, what did you said that? Oh, it's 624 or 625?
25.
No, I know we got a late. There we go. I
missed the meeting because we had Charter Commission that night.
No, that's okay. I think that she took it down already. Hold on. Let me go into my downloads.
Well, either way, it sounds like they reached out to him and he said no. And
I mean, I just want to make sure I was looking at the right line and information. But I'm pretty sure because didn't I shoot you a text?
You did, but I didn't know what you were talking about at the time.
Oh, you weren't in my head.
I thought you were talking about, you were going to ask him because we had a permanent seat available.
Oh, no. Okay, agenda packet 625. Let me just check. It was on a sheet that took me for, I had to ask Brad to stop for a minute because it's sent to us as a scanned item and I needed to shift the view. So we had, okay, as part of Industrial Development Commission, alternate Frank Fogarty, he indicated no on re-upping, and then Laura, you indicated yes, and Mike Massini indicated yes. So the 3 of you were up. Your term was 6/30/2020, date of expiration.
Yeah, I got my letter. I actually didn't realize I've got to go and get sworn in again.
You do?
That's what the letter says, yeah.
I didn't have to get sworn in again.
I was kind of surprised about that myself, but I'm like, well, I'll have to wait till the town. Oh, I have my letter right here. Nope, that's my letter telling me my appointment's up. My letter must still be downstairs. But yeah, it says, please go visit the town clerk to get sworn in.
So, and I was surprised by that because I ran into Frank at the convenience store. and he hadn't said anything.
That's too bad.
Oh, we can always reach out. Maybe he didn't answer.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he said, you know, when I mentioned about needing support, right, for when this is coming up, he was all for that. So that's why it caught me by surprise when I saw it on the list. But anyway, but Anthony's friend is in Connecticut.
Oh.
So that won't help us. And somehow I just lost my file that I had available. It's no longer now in my, there it is. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry, Anthony, anything else on the business guide? And other than comments that you'll want from us via email?
Yeah, I'm just going to put in those things that we just discussed, and then I'm going to send it out via email for everybody to review before I make the final draft copy.
Okay.
Whatever you call it.
Okay, perfect. So the next item is to review the previous meeting minutes. I believe I sent out June 8th and June 17th, which were our regular meeting and then the info session. Are you guys prepared to review and approve those this evening? Okay. So let me pull up the June 8th ones. Give me one moment, please. My mouse keeps falling off of. My mouse pad. So I changed my folder to read EDC and now I can't find anything because I keep wanting to go to IDC.
I've done that a couple of times.
Okay, so minutes for approval. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so the first one's on 6/8. I'll just share them briefly. The YouTube video is posted. This was a meeting where we talked about a potential new interested party from Pioneer Cannabis Company. I have not heard anything back from that individual. Laura, you reviewed the application process, the workflow that you put together. And then we talked about the Blue Star Business Park letter that Denise had drafted and sent out. And then we just went through from the marijuana bylaw and overlay, we went through the application process. And then we talked about the special or the annual town meeting and the fall town meeting. So I'll pause if anybody needs to read it, or I can go back. Please let me know if I need to go back in the notes. Otherwise, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes as written for June 8th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
That's Laura, and that was Sandy or Denise? Denise, thank you. And then we'll do roll call. Anthony?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yeah.
Thank you. And I also say yes, so that's approved unanimously. The next set of meeting minutes.
One question. Who just seconded? Was it Denise?
It was Denise, yes.
Okay.
And then the second set is from June 17th meeting. Let me just share here briefly. Oops, I hit the wrong window. Okay, can you guys see the meeting minutes for June 17th? Okay. This again was the information session. So there's information from the PowerPoint, the panel, more on the presentation, and then overview on the panel discussion from each member, and then lastly the questions for Maureen, as well as Paula Daniels had a question. And I can scroll back if anybody needs me to on these meeting minutes. I think there are 4 pages. If you haven't read them yet, just let me know and I can move back. Otherwise, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 17th, 2020 as written.
So moved.
Thank you,
Seconded.
Denise. And thank you, Laura. Anthony?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
And I too say yes, so those are approved unanimously as well. And my fault on the delay on 6/24. I didn't share the meeting link, the recording with Anthony, and that was a meeting that he came in late and said that he would do the meeting
That's all right.
minutes.
I
So
totally forgot to ask. I should have asked.
that's okay. I don't know why. I mean, I forgot to send it to you. I forgot to send it to Norton Media Center. I think I just spaced after that meeting for whatever reason.
Is how fast can you get the recording? You said about an hour, right? Or 2?
Yeah, it comes pretty quickly.
Okay.
So
could
you want me to send it to you as soon as I get it?
Yes, please.
Sure. And I'm going to be working late tonight, so when it comes in, I'll make sure I get that to you.
Thanks.
Sure. Okay. Any other business to discuss before we adjourn? Okay, so our next meeting, as voted earlier, will be on August 5th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. You guys enjoy your extended time away from the EDC, and certainly thank you for all the hard work with the marijuana project, the business guide, everything that we've been working on. I think we've done an incredible amount of work in a short period of time, even though it feels like it's been forever. But step by step, we're hitting these milestones. So I think with the improvements on the website and getting information out, as well as the application process starting, I think it's really all starting to come together nicely. Meaning that the end is near, and I feel like it's going to end nicely. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:57 p.m.
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, so we got Denise with the motion, second with Laura. And Anthony?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
And I also say yes, so it's unanimous, and we will end the meeting. Thank you guys again. Appreciate all your time and hard work, and enjoy your time off, even though I think most of you have Charter Commission anyway, so you're not really getting a break.
Right.
Good night, everybody. Good
night,
night, everyone.
guys.
Good night, Renee.
Everyone.
Good night,
Tina.
Good night.